Good evening and welcome to the third and last presidential debate of 2008, sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. I'm Bob Schieffer. The audience behind me has promised to be quiet, except at this moment when we welcome Barack Obama and John McCain. Gentlemen, welcome. By now, we've heard all the talking points, so let's try to tell the people tonight some things that they haven't heard. Let's get to it. I will ask both of you, why is your plan better than his? Senator McCain, you go first.
Well, Americans are hurting right now, and they're angry. They're hurting and they're angry. They're innocent victims of greed and excess on Wall Street and as well as Washington, D.C. And they're angry, have every reason to be angry. And they want this country to go in a new direction.
I think everybody understands at this point that we are experiencing the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. But what we haven't yet seen is a rescue package for the middle class, because the fundamentals of the economy were weak even before this latest crisis.
I am convinced that until we reverse this continued decline in home ownership and put a floor under it, and so that people have not only the hope and belief they can stay in their homes and realize the American dream, but that value will come up.
Number one, let's focus on jobs. Number two, let's help families right away by providing them a tax cut, a middle-class tax cut for people making less than $200,000, and let's allow them to access their IRA accounts without penalty if they're experiencing a crisis.
Now, I know the criticism of this. Well, what about the citizen that stayed in their homes, that paid their mortgage payments? It doesn't help that person in their home if the next door neighbor's house is abandoned.
The last point I want to make, though, we've got some long-term challenges in this economy that have to be dealt with. We've got to fix our energy policy that's giving our wealth away. We've got to fix our healthcare system, and we've got to invest in our education system for every young person to be able to learn.
Would you like to ask him a question?
No. I would like to mention that a couple of days ago, Senator Obama was out in Ohio, and he had an encounter with a guy who's a plumber. His name is Joe Wurzelberger. Joe wants to buy the business that he's been in for all these years. Worked 10, 12 hours a day. And he wanted to buy the business, but he looked at your tax plan and he saw that he was going to pay much higher tax, which Joe was trying to realize the American dream. Now, Senator Obama talks about very, very rich. Joe, I want to tell you, I'll not only help that you buy that business that you work your whole life for, and what you want to do to Joe the plumber, and millions more like him, is have their taxes increase and not be able to realize the American dream of owning their own business. That's what Joe believes.
He's been watching some ads of Senator McCain's. Let me tell you what I'm actually going to do. And we both want to cut taxes. The difference is who we want to cut taxes for. Now, Senator McCain, the centerpiece of his economic proposal is to provide $200 billion in additional tax breaks to some of the wealthiest corporations in America.
Right now, why would you want to increase anybody's taxes right now? Why would you want to do that? Anyone in America.
If you make less than $250,000 a year, then you will not see your income tax go up, your capital gains tax go up, your payroll tax.
These small business people like Joe the plumber are going to create jobs unless you take that money from him and spread the wealth around. I'm not going to. We're not going to do that in my administration.
If I can answer the question. The conversation I had with Joe the plumber, what I essentially said to him was, 5 years ago, when you weren't in a position to buy your business, you needed a tax cut then. And what I want to do is to make sure that the plumber, the nurse, the firefighter, the teacher, the young entrepreneur who doesn't yet have money, I want to give them a tax break. Not only do 98% of small businesses make less than $250,000, but I also want to give them additional tax breaks because they are the drivers of the economy. They produce the most jobs.
You know what Senator Obama ended up his conversation with Joe the plumber? We need to spread the wealth around. In other words, we're going to take Joe's money, give it to Senator Obama. and let him spread the wealth around.
It's true that my friend and supporter Warren Buffett, for example, could afford to pay a little more in taxes.
We're talking about
in order to give additional tax cuts to Joe the plumber before he was at the point where he could make $250,000. So, look, nobody likes taxes. I would prefer that none of us had to pay taxes, including myself. But ultimately, we've got to pay for the core investments that make this economy strong, and somebody's got to do it.
Nobody likes taxes. Let's not raise anybody's taxes.
Well, I don't mind paying a little more.
The fact is, businesses in America today are paying the second highest tax rate of anywhere in the world. We need to cut the business tax rate. We need to encourage business now. Of all times in America, we need to cut people's taxes. We need to encourage business, create jobs, not spread the wealth around.
All right, let's go to another topic. It's related, so if you have other things you want to say, you can get back to that. Aren't you both ignoring reality? Won't some of the programs you're proposing have to be trimmed, postponed, even eliminated?
There is no doubt that we've been living beyond our means. What I've done throughout this campaign is to propose a net spending cut. I haven't made a promise. Every dollar that I've proposed an additional cut so that it matches. We need to eliminate a whole host of programs that don't work, and I want to go through the federal budget line by line, page by page. Programs that don't work, we should cut. Programs that we need, we should make them work better.
Okay, what would I cut? I would have, first of all, across-the-board spending freeze, okay? That some people say that's a hatchet, and then I would get out a scalpel, okay?
If we invest in a serious energy policy, that will save in the amount of money we're borrowing from China.
It's wind, tide, solar, natural gas, nuclear, offshore drilling, which Senator Obama has opposed.
But what is absolutely true is that once we get through this economic crisis, and we're going to have to embrace a culture and an ethic of responsibility, all of us, corporations, the federal government, and individuals out there who may be living beyond their means.
Senator.
Well, thank you, Bob. I just want to get back to this home ownership. So, obviously, if we can start increasing home values, then there'll be creation of wealth.
The question was, what are you going
energy
to cut?
Well, second of all, energy independent. We have to have nuclear power. We have to stop sending $700 billion a year to countries that don't like us very much.
An across-the-board spending freeze is a hatchet, and we do need a scalpel, because there's some programs that don't work at all. There's some programs that are underfunded, and I want to make sure that we are focused on those programs that work.
We have presided over the largest increase. We've got to have new direction for this country. We have presided over the largest increase in government since the Great Society. Government spending has gone completely out of control. $10 trillion debt we're giving to our kids, $500 billion we owe China. I know how to save billions of dollars in defense spending. I know how to eliminate programs.
The last thing I think we have to focus on is a little bit of history, just so that we understand what we're doing going forward. When President Bush came into office, we had a budget surplus, and the national debt was a little over $5 trillion. It has doubled over the last 8 years.